The hammer hangs heavy in my hand, a useless weight. It's 3 a.m., or maybe closer to 4. Time's a blurry mess, same as the kitchen. Our kitchen. Supposed to be our dream kitchen. Now it's a skeleton of studs and dangling wires, mocking me. I was going for one last push, trying to get the new subfloor patch in before Sarah woke up. A small surprise. The surprise, it turns out, is on me. My phone screen glows, a stark, accusing light in the pre-dawn gloom. The banking app, empty. Both accounts. Joint checking, drained. Savings, vanished. The renovation fund, the one we'd scrimped and saved for, argued and then excitedly planned over for 2 years, gone. I keep hitting refresh, my thumb slick with a cold sweat that has nothing to do with the physical work. The numbers don't change. 0, 0, 0. The metallic taste of panic, sharp and coppery, floods my mouth, mixing with the fine layer of sawdust that seems to coat everything in this God-forsaken house, everything in my God-forsaken life. It's a taste I haven't known since I was a kid, lost in the woods behind my grandpa's place. I feel that same boyish terror now, a man standing in the ruins of his own making, or rather, her unmaking. My breath hitches. I can feel the fine tremor starting in my hands, spreading up my arms. It's not just the money. It's Sarah, my Sarah. This isn't some banking error. This is a calculated act, a demolition. I lean against a bare 2x4, the rough wood biting into my shoulder. The scent of freshly cut pine, usually so comforting, now feels like part of the assault. Too raw, too exposed. I think I might be sick. The dust motes dance in the beam of my work light, oblivious little bastards. No, I whisper to the empty space, to the ghost of our future. No, no, no. But the phone screen doesn't lie. Each refresh is another nail in the coffin of, well, everything. I force myself to take a breath. Think. I need to think. The sawdust in the air seems to thicken, making it hard to draw in air, each particle a tiny, gritty reminder of the renovation that's now a gaping wound. My heart is a frantic drummer against my ribs, a wild, panicked beat. Power. I need to reclaim some. My fingers, clumsy and shaking, navigate to the screenshot function. Once, twice. Again for the savings. Every transaction, a list of withdrawals, large sums, not her usual spending, not by a long shot. The dates, yesterday, the day before. While I was here wrestling with plumbing fixtures and electrical outlets, she was emptying us. The chill of the concrete floor seeps through my work boots, a cold that goes bone deep. Then I call the bank. The automated voice is a cruel parody of calm. Your call is important to us. Is it? Is my shattered life important to you, Patricia, the perky-voiced AI? When a real person finally picks up a sleepy-sounding guy named Kevin, my voice is surprisingly steady. Too steady, like a stranger's. I'm reporting unauthorized withdrawals, significant ones. I give him the details, the account numbers, the horror story in neat numerical figures. The silence on the other end stretches, filled only by the hum of the ancient refrigerator we haven't replaced yet. Another ghost of a plan. Kevin clears his throat. Sir, those transactions were authorized. PIN verification. Online transfers confirmed via 2-factor authentication to a registered device. Her phone. Her laptop. Her. The metallic tang in my mouth intensifies. It's the taste of betrayal. Acrid and unforgettable. Registered to whom? I ask, but I already know. The primary account holder, Sarah Miller, and yourself, Marcus Miller. But I didn't. We can freeze the accounts, sir, if you suspect fraudulent activity by a third party. A third party. Is that what she is now? Or is the third party someone else entirely? Yes. Freeze them. Please. My own voice sounds distant, like it's coming from the end of a long, dark tunnel. The faint smell of stale coffee from this morning's thermos, still sitting on the makeshift counter, hits me, a reminder of a normal life that no longer exists. I hang up. The silence in the kitchen is deafening, broken only by my ragged breathing. I stare at the hammer in my hand. For a wild second, I want to swing it, to bring it down on the last remaining cabinet, the one we were going to paint sea glass green. Her favorite. My stomach churns. The floor seems to sway beneath me, the bare joists like a precarious tightrope. Then, headlights. They sweep across the plastic sheeting I've tacked over the missing window, casting grotesque dancing shadows. My heart leaps. Sarah. She's home. Early or late. She can explain. She has to. There's a mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake. The faint rumble of an engine, too throaty, too powerful for her sensible sedan, grows louder. I move towards the front door, my legs stiff, unresponsive. The sawdust on the floor crunches under my boots, a sound like tiny bones breaking. I pull back the edge of the dusty curtain on the living room window, the one room we haven't touched yet, a relic of hour before. And there, in my driveway, glinting under the streetlight like some predatory beast, is a sports car. Low-slung, expensive, bright, screaming red. My breath catches in my throat. I've seen that car before. Parked outside Sarah's office building a few weeks ago. She'd laughed it off. Derek's midlife crisis, she'd called him. Her work friend. Derek. The passenger door opens, and Sarah gets out. My Sarah. Stepping out of Derek's midlife crisis, parked in the financial wreckage of our life. The hammer in my hand suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. The metallic taste in my mouth is no longer just panic. It's the bitter, unmistakable flavor of cold, hard truth. And it's choking me. The sawdust, the silence, the shadow of that damned red car, it all swirls into a single, unbearable moment. The world tilts. The section cliffhanger isn't just a literary device, it's the actual edge I'm standing on. The word again thuds in my chest like a second, heavier heartbeat. She's lied to me again. But this isn't like the time she forgot to mention bumping the car, or the little white lies about how much that dress really cost. This is a rebirth. She's standing there, by that ridiculous car, illuminated by the porch light I'd meticulously rewired last spring, and she's someone I don't recognize. Her usual comfortable slacks and blouse are gone. Tonight she's wearing a dress, black, clinging. Her hair, usually pulled back in a sensible ponytail when she's working late, is down, styled. She looks sleek, like the car. The acrid smell of burnt coffee from my forgotten thermos suddenly feels symbolic of my entire morning, my entire life. I step out onto the porch. The cool night air does nothing to quell the fire in my gut. She sees me, and for a fleeting second, something flickers across her face. Surprise? No. Guilt, maybe? But it's gone as quickly as it appears, replaced by a guarded look. The same look she got when I questioned the late nights that had become her new normal these past 6 months. The faint scent of her expensive perfume, a new one I didn't buy her, reaches me even from this distance. Another subtle betrayal. Derek gets out of the driver's side. Tall, tanned, dressed in clothes that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. He gives me a nod, a tight, uncomfortable little jerk of the head. He looks like he's smelling something bad, and I suspect it's me, covered in sawdust and the grime of honest labor. The sharp, almost aggressive scent of new leather wafts from the car's interior as he closes the door, a luxurious aroma that feels obscene in the face of our gutted home, our emptied accounts. Marcus, Sarah says, her voice a little too bright, a little too brittle. It cracks, just a little, on my name, like a piece of cheap china. You're up early. Couldn't sleep, I say. My own voice is flat, dead. I can feel the grit of sawdust on my teeth. Looks like you couldn't either. Derek shoves his hands into the pockets of his perfectly creased trousers. He's trying for casual, but he just looks like a wolf in sheep's expensive clothing. Just dropping Sarah off. Long day at the office. Must have been, I say, my gaze locking on Sarah. Big project finally wrapped up? My heart is hammering, a frantic, desperate rhythm against the stillness of the night. The silence stretches, taut and humming with unspoken accusations. I can hear the distant bark of a neighbor's dog, a lonely sound in the darkness. Sarah's eyes dart to the house, to the shadowed mess of the kitchen visible through the uncurtained window. Something like that? Her hands clench at her sides. The only sign of the turmoil I know must be churning inside her. Or maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe she feels nothing but the thrill of the new leather seats and the man standing beside her. The thought is a fresh stab of pain, sharp and deep. Right, I say. I take a step towards the car, towards Derek. He tenses. Good. Nice car, new? The air feels thick with unspoken words, heavy as the humid summer night. Fairly, Derek mutters, avoiding my eyes. He's focused on a spot just over my shoulder, probably the peeling paint on the porch railing I haven't gotten around to fixing. Because, I was busy with our renovation. I walk right up to the gleaming red hood. I can see my own distorted reflection in its polished surface. A tired, dusty man with haunted eyes. Mind if I ask about the, slight scuff mark here on the bumper? And those deep tire treads in the gravel? Looks like someone took the turn into the driveway a little too fast. Might have damaged the new asphalt I just had laid at the bottom. It's a lie. The driveway is old, cracked concrete. But the lie feels good. It's a small piece of power. The scent of hot engine and expensive wax fills my nostrils. Sarah's eyes widen. Marcus, don't! Derek, however, puffs up a little. There's no scuff mark, and I'm an excellent driver. Oh, I'm sure, I say, my voice dangerously calm. But for insurance purposes, driveway damage, just in case. Could I get your insurance information? My hands are remarkably steady as I pull out my phone, as if to take down his details. The sudden chirping crickets in the overgrown flower bed Sarah was supposed to weed last month sound unnaturally loud. Derek's face tightens. He knows what I'm doing. It's not about the driveway. It's about control. It's about me, Marcus, the guy in the sawdust-covered work clothes making him sweat. The silence crackles. I can feel the fine hairs on my arms prickle. Look, Derek starts, his voice losing some of its earlier arrogance. There's no need for that. Sarah steps forward, placing a hand on my arm. Her touch, once a comfort, now feels like a brand. Marcus, please, let's go inside. We need to talk. Her voice cracks again, more noticeably this time. She's finally showing a fissure in her cool facade. The almost cloying sweetness of her new perfume is making me nauseous. I look down at her hand on my arm, then back up at her face. The woman I married, the woman I built a life with, a dream with, gone. Replaced by this stranger in a too-tight dress, smelling of another man's car. Oh, we'll talk, Sarah, I say, my voice low. We have a lot to talk about. Derek looks from me to Sarah, then back to me. He takes a half step back towards his car. I should probably... Yeah, I say, not taking my eyes off Sarah. You probably should. He practically scrambles into the car. the engine roaring to life with an obnoxious vulgarity that echoes the mess he's leaving behind. He doesn't look back as he reverses, a little too quickly, out of the driveway. The red taillights disappear down the street, leaving a silence that's heavier than before. The faint smell of burnt rubber hangs in the air. Sarah watches him go, her shoulders slumped. When she finally turns to me, there are tears glistening in her eyes. Good. Marcus. The money, Sarah, I say, the words like stones in my mouth. All of it. Where is it? She winces. The porch light catches the shimmer of tears on her lashes. It's complicated. Complicated? I almost laugh. It's a harsh, ugly sound. Complicated is deciding between quartz or granite countertops, Sarah. This is something else entirely. The scent of the damp earth from the flower bed seems to rise up, a smell of decay. She wraps her arms around herself, a defensive posture. I needed it. Needed it for what? His car? Those clothes? Her chin trembles. There's more you don't know, Marcus. My blood runs cold. More? What more could there possibly be? The empty bank accounts, the secret meetings, the expensive car, the man who is clearly more than a work friend. Wasn't that enough? The porch creaks under my weight as I shift, the sound echoing the groan in my soul. More? I repeat, the word a hollow echo of my disbelief. She nods, fresh tears spilling onto her cheeks. She looks small then, vulnerable. For a heartbeat, a flicker of the old Sarah. But it's not enough. Not nearly enough. The renovation, Marcus. It wasn't the only thing I've been financing. The world tilts again, more violently this time. What in God's name had she done? The night, which had already felt so suffocating, seems to press in on me, stealing the very air from my lungs. The dream kitchen, the dream life. All of it felt like it was crumbling, turning to dust around me, finer than the sawdust I'd been breathing all night. The walk back into the house is the longest of my life. Each step into the dim, chaotic space feels like a descent. The hallway, stripped bare for new flooring that will never be laid, echoes with our footsteps. It's a hollow sound, like the hollowness in my chest. Sarah follows me, her expensive heels clicking uncertainly on the plywood subfloor. The contrast between her glamorous attire and the raw, unfinished state of our home is a cruel joke. The lingering scent of pine from the new studs feels like a mockery of new beginnings. We end up in the living room, the only room relatively untouched by the phantom renovation. It's cluttered with boxes of salvaged belongings, tools, and the ghosts of our shared past. Old wedding photos sit on the mantelpiece, smiling strangers I don't recognize anymore. Sarah sinks onto the edge of the old sofa, the one we were going to replace, her shoulders shaking. I remain standing, unable to settle, the nervous energy thrumming through me, demanding action answers. The slight mustiness of the old furniture, a smell I once found comforting, now seems to represent the decay of our marriage. Talk, I say, the single word hanging heavy in the stale air. And she does. The story spills out, a torrent of confessions, excuses, and half-truths that have apparently been piling up for the last 6 months. It started small, she claims, a little alone to Derek to help him with a cash flow problem for his startup. He was so charming, so convincing. He'd pay her back, with interest, of course. He was going to be big. They were going to be big. The air in the room feels thick, suffocating. Each word she speaks another layer of betrayal. Then the loans got bigger. His startup, a vaguely defined tech venture, needed more capital, seed money, bridge funding. She used her personal credit cards first, maxing them out. I feel a cold dread creep up my spine. I'd noticed a few new card statements arriving, addressed only to her, but I'd dismissed it. She'd said they were for work expenses she'd get reimbursed for. Lies. All lies. The faint smell of her new, expensive perfume still clings to her, a constant reminder of her deceit. I watch her, my face a mask of stone. Inside, I'm a raging inferno. How could she? How could we become this? Our carefully constructed life, our plans, our future, all of it a financial house of cards, built on her deception, and now it's collapsing. I can almost hear the flutter of those cards as they fall, the rhythmic tick-tock of the grandfather clock in the hall, a wedding gift from her parents, seems to be counting down the seconds to our complete implosion. The credit cards weren't enough, were they? I ask, my voice devoid of emotion. I'm picturing those statements, the ones I didn't look closely enough at, the ones I trusted her about. She shakes her head, fresh tears tracing paths through her makeup. He needed more, to secure a bigger investor. He said it was the final push. She's weeping openly now, her body racked with sobs. But I feel nothing. Or rather, I feel too much. A maelstrom of anger, hurt, and a terrifying, icy calm. The scent of the dust from the ongoing demolition seems to permeate even this untouched room, a gritty film over everything. So you took the renovation money, I state, not a question. Our money. I was going to put it back, she cries, her voice muffled by her hands. He promised. He said as soon as the deal went through, we'd have it all back, plus more. Enough to finish the kitchen, do the whole house, go on that trip to Italy. Italy. Another dream turned to ash. I walk over to the makeshift desk where I'd been poring over blueprints just hours ago. Dreams of islands and farmhouse sinks dancing in my head. Now, those blueprints are just paper, meaningless lines. I pick up a stack of mail. Credit card statements addressed to Sarah Miller. More of them than I realized. My hands don't even shake as I start opening them. One by one. The numbers swim before my eyes. Thousands, tens of thousands, on cards I didn't even know she had. The quiet hum of the streetlights outside the window feels alien, intrusive. Each statement is a fresh punch to the gut. The dates align with her increasing late nights at work, her business dinners, her weekend conferences. It all clicks into place, a sickening mosaic of deceit. She wasn't just funding his business. She was funding him, their life. The faint, sweet smell of the roses I bought her last week, now wilting on the coffee table, seems to mock my naivety. I stagger back, the papers falling from my numb fingers, scattering across the dusty floor like fallen leaves. How much, Sarah? How much in total? She looks up, her face pale, tear-streaked. I don't know exactly. A lot. A lot? My voice rises, the icy calm finally cracking. We are ruined, Sarah, ruined! The silence that follows is broken only by her ragged breathing and the frantic thumping of my own heart. The room feels cold, despite the summer night. Then my phone buzzes. An email. From our contractor, Mike. I'd forgotten I'd even sent him a frantic middle-of-the-night text to halt all work. Marcus, got your text. Call me ASAP. We need to talk about outstanding material costs and the crew's schedule. This is going to be messy, bud. Messy. Understatement of the century. The faint scent of sawdust on my clothes, a reminder of my futile efforts, suddenly feels like the smell of failure. Before I can respond to Mike or even fully process the depth of Sarah's betrayal, my phone rings. An unknown number. I almost ignore it, but some instinct makes me answer. Mr. Miller? A crisp, professional voice says. This is Eleanor Vance from Vance and Associates. We've been expecting your call regarding the pending Marital dissolution. My blood turns to ice. Marital dissolution? I haven't called anyone about. Your wife, Sarah Miller, initiated proceedings last week, Mr. Miller. We represent her. The phone slips from my hand, clattering onto the hardwood floor. Sarah filed for divorce? Last week? Before the money was gone? Or was this part of the plan? To drain me, then leave me? The faint, almost imperceptible scent of old books from the bookshelf in the corner, a scent I've always loved, now feels like the smell of history, of a chapter of my life that's been violently torn out. Sarah is staring at me, her eyes wide with a new kind of fear. Marcus, I can explain, but I can't hear her. The ringing in my ears is too loud. The world is spinning. Divorce, lawyers, lies, ruin. It's too much. The weight of it all is crushing me. And then, as if summoned by the chaos, the doorbell rings. Sharp, insistent. We both jump. Who could that be at this ungodly hour? I move to the door on autopilot, my mind a blank, reeling. The porch light illuminates two figures. Her parents, Carol and Tom, standing there with suitcases. Suitcases, as if they're planning to stay. The metallic taste of panic returns with a vengeance, stronger this time, almost unbearable. The night isn't over. It's just found a new way to get worse. The living room, already a casualty of our imploding marriage, transforms into a courtroom, a battlefield. Carol, Sarah's mother, sweeps in first, her expression a mixture of concern and disapproval, the latter aimed squarely at me and the state of the house. Tom, her father, follows, his face grim, his eyes missing nothing. The suitcases they'd been carrying now sit heavily by the doorway, like unexploded ordnances. The acrid smell of burnt coffee, which I realize is coming from the pot I left on hours ago in the kitchen, begins to permeate the living room, a fitting incense for the rising tensions. It's a sharp, bitter scent, much like the words that are about to be exchanged. Sarah, darling. Carol bypasses me as if I'm a piece of faulty furniture, rushing to embrace her daughter, who promptly dissolves into fresh tears. What on earth has happened? Your call was so frantic. Carol's voice is laced with accusation, her eyes flicking around the room, lingering on the stacks of unpaid bills I'd left scattered on the coffee table amidst the wilting roses. The stale air in the room seems to crackle with unspoken judgment. Tom, a man of fewer words but a far more imposing presence, looks at me. Marcus, Sarah said you found out about some financial difficulties. His tone is level, but there's an undercurrent I can't quite decipher. Disappointment? Anger? The faint scent of his pipe tobacco, a scent I usually associate with calm evenings and reasoned advice, now feels like a prelude to an interrogation. Before I can formulate a response that isn't just a primal scream, Carol turns on me, her eyes narrowed. Financial difficulties, Marcus? Is that what you call ruining my daughter? Look at this place, and her, she's a wreck. Her voice, normally modulated and polite, now has a sharp, hissing quality. My jaw tightens. I can feel the muscles in my neck bunching. The dust motes dancing in the dim lamplight seem to be swirling faster, agitated by the emotional storm. I ruined her? I ask, my voice dangerously low. I can taste the metallic bitterness of adrenaline, a familiar companion tonight. Carol, with all due respect, you have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I think I do, she retorts, stepping closer. She's a small woman, but she radiates an intensity that makes her seem taller. Sarah told us how stressed you've been about this renovation, how you've been pressuring her. The rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall seems to amplify the tension, each tick a judgment. Pressure? Is that her story? That I drove her to this? The injustice of it is a fresh wave of anger. I glance at Sarah. She's avoiding my gaze, huddled under her mother's protective wing. The scent of her expensive perfume, mingled with her mother's equally potent floral one, is almost overpowering. "Enough," I say, my voice cutting through Carol's tirade. I walk over to the coffee table, scoop up the damning credit card statements, the bank printouts showing the emptied accounts. My hands are steady now, fueled by a cold, hard rage. "This," I say, holding them out, "is not about stress over a renovation." The papers tremble slightly in my grip. I can feel the eyes of all three of them on me, waiting. The silence is thick, almost viscous. I lay the statements on the coffee table, one by one, like a prosecutor presenting evidence. This is about deceit. This is about theft. This is about Sarah emptying our joint accounts, maxing out countless credit cards in her name, and giving all of it, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to her friend, Derek. The name hangs in the air, ugly and undeniable. The faint, musty smell of the old sofa seems to absorb the shock, the horror of my words. Carol's face pales. Tom's expression hardens. Sarah just sobs louder. "Derek?" Tom finally speaks, his voice a low rumble. "The one with that internet thing?" "The very same," I confirm, my gaze unwavering. I present the evidence with surgical precision, detailing the dates, the amounts, the sheer scale of the betrayal. There's no shouting now, just the cold, hard facts, laid bare under the dim light of our broken home. The only sound for a long moment is Sarah's quiet weeping, and the rustle of papers as Tom picks one up, then another, his brow furrowed. The faint scent of old paper and ink from the documents rises, a dry, dusty smell of consequences. Carol looks stunned, her earlier aggression deflating. She looks from the papers to her daughter, then to me. Confusion wars with disbelief on her face. Tom finishes with the last statement and looks directly at Sarah. "Is this true, Sarah? All of it?" His voice is quiet, but it carries more weight than all of Carol's histrionics. Sarah nods miserably, unable to speak. A heavy silence descends. Then Tom sighs, a deep, weary sound. He runs a hand over his face. I had no idea it was this bad." He looks at me then, and there's something new in his eyes. Respect? Sympathy? "Marcus, if there's anything I can do..." He trails off, then seems to come to a decision. "Look, I can't undo what she's done, but I can offer this. I'll cover the immediate renovation debts, pay the contractor what's owed, get you out of that hole at least." The faint, almost metallic scent from the radiator, which always gives off a strange smell when it first kicks in, even in summer if the thermostat is wonky, seems to punctuate his offer. It's an unexpected lifeline, a genuine offer. I stare at him, surprised. For the first time tonight, a sliver of something other than despair pierces through me. Gratitude, maybe. But before I can respond, before I can even process this gesture, Sarah speaks, her voice watery but firm. "Dad, no, you don't have to." She looks at me, a strange resolve in her tear-filled eyes. "Marcus, my lawyer will be in touch with yours, or with you, if you don't have one yet." "My lawyer?" The conversation with Eleanor Vance, the lawyer Sarah had already retained, slams back into my mind. "You mean the lawyer you hired last week?" I ask, the words dripping with sarcasm and dawning horror. "The one who's handling our marital dissolution that you filed for before you even told me you'd bankrupted us?" The acrid smell of burnt coffee seems to intensify, a physical manifestation of my burning anger. Sarah flinches but holds my gaze. "Yes," she says quietly. "Those papers have already been filed." The room spins. She'd not only betrayed me financially, emotionally, but she'd also made the first legal strike. While I was trying to save our home, she was already dismantling it, piece by official piece. The war wasn't just beginning. I was already losing. The weight of her parents' suitcases by the door suddenly feels symbolic. They're not just here to visit. They're here to pick a side. And it's terrifyingly clear which side they'll ultimately be forced to choose. The floor beneath me feels like it's about to give way. The next few days are a blur of sleepless nights, endless cups of burnt-tasting coffee, and a dawning, chilling realization. I've been reacting. I've been letting Sarah, her lawyer, her parents, and the sheer overwhelming chaos dictate my moves. I've been playing defense, absorbing blows, when what I need to do is go on the offensive. The hollow echo of my own footsteps in the half-demolished house serves as a constant reminder of my passivity. This has to change. Now. The faint, metallic tang of residual panic is still there, but it's now overlaid with something new. The sharp, invigorating taste of cold anger and a burgeoning determination. Tom, true to his word, deals with the contractor, Mike. He pays off the outstanding material costs and whatever kill fees are involved for the crew. It's a temporary reprieve. A small mercy in a sea of disasters, but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem. The house is a wreck. My life is a wreck. And Sarah is systematically trying to dismantle what's left of our shared assets, which, thanks to her, are mostly liabilities. The subtle scent of Tom's pipe tobacco, which had lingered on the paperwork he'd handled for the contractor, is a small, oddly comforting reminder that not everyone is against me. Her lawyer, Eleanor Vance, is a shark. Her letters, arriving with alarming frequency, are filled with jargon and thinly veiled threats. They demand access to financial records I no longer fully possess, make claims on assets that are long gone, and paint Sarah as a victim. A victim! The irony is so bitter it almost makes me laugh. The scratchy feel of the cheap legal paper they use seems designed to irritate. One evening, sitting at the dusty kitchen island, the plywood sheet that's serving as one, surrounded by the ghosts of cabinets and appliances, a different kind of energy begins to hum through me. It's not just anger anymore. It's a focused, almost predatory calm. I open my laptop. The satisfying click of the keys as I type feels like loading ammunition. If Sarah wants a war, she'll get one. But I'm not fighting on her terms anymore. The faint hum of the laptop fan is a quiet counterpoint to the storm brewing inside me. My research starts with divorce law in our state, but quickly expands. International law, extradition treaties, asset protection, countries with favorable residency programs for entrepreneurs. A plan begins to form, audacious and terrifying, but also exhilarating. With each discovered loophole, each potential advantage, my pulse quickens. Determination, cold and clear, floods through me, washing away the dregs of despair. The musty smell of old law books I'd downloaded as PDFs seems to fill my small corner of the wrecked kitchen. The house. It's our only significant remaining asset, even in its current state of disrepair. She wants it, or at least her fair share of its rapidly diminishing value. Her lawyer's letters make that abundantly clear. But what if I could sell it, fast, before she can tie it up in legal knots for years? An as-is sale, cut my losses, get out. The scent of fresh sawdust, a scent I'd come to associate with my failure, suddenly smells like opportunity. I spend an entire afternoon on the phone. Real estate agents. 3 of them. I schedule consultations back-to-back for the following day. Let them compete. Let them see the mess for what it is, and tell me what, if anything, can be salvaged. The clipped professional tones of the agents are a stark contrast to the emotional chaos of my life, and I find it strangely grounding. Each call ends with a click, another small step forward. The next morning, The first agent, a brisk woman named Carol, another Carol, the universe has a sick sense of humor, arrives. She walks through the house, her heels clicking on the bare plywood, her expression carefully neutral. She asks a lot of questions, her pen scratching across her notepad. The air is thick with the scent of her strong perfume and the underlying aroma of dust and decay. "It's a challenge, Mr. Miller," she says finally, standing in the middle of the gutted kitchen. "But the location is good. Bones of the house are solid, despite this." She gestures vaguely at the exposed wiring and missing walls. "We could list it as a fixer-upper, attract investors, flippers." The second agent is more optimistic, talking about potential and vision, but his commission rate is higher. The third is a younger guy, eager, full of online marketing strategies. As he's leaving, full of promises to send me a detailed market analysis, another car pulls up. Not an agent. This one is a sleek, unassuming sedan. A man in a suit gets out. He's early. "Mr. Miller?" he asks, extending a hand. "John Davies, house appraiser. Your bank, First National, ordered an updated valuation, given the ongoing renovations and the current market." "My bank?" Sarah's bank, more accurately. The one that held the mortgage. The one she'd probably sweet-talked into God knows what. "This isn't good. An official appraisal now in this state? It'll tank the value." Panic, cold and sharp, lances through me. The metallic taste is back. This is Sarah's doing, another legal maneuver orchestrated by her shark lawyer. They're trying to devalue it before I can make a move. The faint scent of rain on the dusty driveway, a precursor to a storm that hasn't broken yet, feels ominous. Davies is meticulous, taking photos, making notes. His presence feels like an invasion. Every click of his camera is another blow. He doesn't say much, his face unreadable. I trail after him, helpless, as he documents the chaos, the unfinished plumbing, the missing fixtures, the general air of dereliction. The smell of damp plaster in the half-finished bathroom is particularly depressing. Just as Davies is packing up his equipment, his expression still neutral but somehow pitying, my phone rings. An unknown number, but not local. International, maybe? I hesitate, then answer. "Mr. Marcus Miller?" A woman's voice, accented. European, perhaps. "Yes?" "My name is Sophia. I represent a client who is very interested in purchasing your property. We understand it is in a certain condition. My client sees this as an opportunity. We are prepared to make an immediate cash offer. No inspections, no contingencies. Close in 7 days. Cash offer? 7 days? It's too good to be true. A lifeline appearing out of nowhere. "Who is your client?" I ask, my heart hammering. The earlier scent of pine from the exposed studs now seems to vibrate with a strange energy. "That is confidential at this stage, Mr. Miller. But I assure you, the offer is serious and substantial. Are you interested in hearing it?" Am I interested? It's the only flicker of hope I've had in days. A way out, a fast way out, before Sarah or the bank or anyone else can completely destroy what little equity is left. The subtle, almost sweet smell of the freshly cut grass from my neighbor's lawn, drifting in through the open doorway, suddenly seems like the scent of freedom. "Yes," I say, my voice hoarse. "Yes, I'm interested." The game is on, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I might actually have a chance to play. The click of my laptop keys as I later research fast international property transactions feels less like loading ammunition and more like plotting an escape. An escape I desperately need. The offer from Sophia, the mysterious European agent, is like a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart. It's aggressive, clean, and most importantly, fast. 7 days. I accept, my voice steadier than I feel. The house, this albatross around my neck, could be gone in a week. The thought is so liberating it's almost painful. The faint metallic scent of old pipes in the basement, a scent I noticed when the appraiser was down there, suddenly transforms into the smell of buried treasure, about to be unearthed. But Sarah, or rather her lawyer Eleanor Vance, isn't about to let me sail off into the sunset with a bag of cash. The moment I signed the initial agreement with Sophia's firm, a scanned document, emailed back and forth, the scratch of my cheap ballpoint pen on the printed paper, a surprisingly satisfying sound. All hell breaks loose. The musty smell of old legal documents, or at least the PDF versions flooding my inbox, becomes the dominant scent of my days. It's a dry, suffocating aroma, the smell of attrition. Eleanor Vance is on the warpath. Cease and desist letters, threats of injunctions, accusations of marital asset misappropriation. Each email, each sharply worded legal document is a fresh assault. My laptop screen glows with her venomous prose. Mr. Miller is acting in bad faith, deliberately undervaluing a shared asset, attempting to defraud our client. The sheer audacity of it, after what Sarah did, almost makes me laugh. Almost. The faint hum of my old printer, churning out these missives of legal warfare, is a constant, irritating soundtrack. She's trying to block the sale, I tell Sophia over a crackly international call, the list of Vance's threats spread across my makeshift plywood kitchen island. The sharp scent of the black coffee I'm mainlining does little to cut through the fog of legal jargon. Sophia's voice is calm, unruffled. This is to be expected, Mr. Miller. Delay tactics. Standard procedure in contentious divorces. Does your wife have a legitimate claim to halt a private sale if the property is solely in your name, or if you have her prior agreement to sell? The property is in both our names, a fact Eleanor Vance clearly knows. We discussed selling months ago before all this. Verbally. Nothing signed. My heart sinks. The faint, almost sweet smell of the overgrown honeysuckle outside the broken kitchen window, a plant Sarah loved, feels like a cruel irony. Verbal agreements are problematic to prove, Mr. Miller. We need to apply pressure. Show them you are serious and that this sale is advantageous even to her, given the circumstances. Sophia's pragmatism is a lifeline. She suggests a bold move, full transparency. If they claim you are undervaluing, then let the world see the true value, or lack thereof. And that's when the idea of the live stream hits me. It's desperate, it's unorthodox, it's probably insane. But it might just work. The slightly acrid smell of burnt toast from breakfast. I'm not much of a cook, and even less so these days, gives me a perverse sense of clarity. Burn it all down, metaphorically speaking. I spend a day prepping, not the house, but my narrative. I set up a simple streaming account. I write a script, of sorts, a guided tour of the disaster zone I call home. My resolve hardens like steel with every word I type. Sarah's lawyer can threaten all she wants in private emails. I'm taking this public. The musty scent of the old boxes piled in the living room, filled with our shared memories, feels like fuel for my righteous anger. The day of the live stream, my hands are surprisingly steady. I position my phone on a small tripod. I take a deep breath, the familiar taste of sawdust and despair momentarily replaced by the coppery tang of adrenaline. Then I hit go live. Welcome, folks, I say, my voice echoing slightly in the gutted kitchen. Welcome to what was supposed to be our dream home renovation. Now, it's an as-is special. A real fixer-upper opportunity for the discerning buyer, or perhaps a cautionary tale. The number of viewers starts to tick up. Small at first, then growing. The faint scent of ozone from the electrical wires hanging like dead vines seems to add to the atmosphere of neglect. I walk them through it all. The exposed studs, the dangling wires, the half-finished plumbing, capped off and useless. Here's where the magnificent 6-burner gas range was going to go, I say, gesturing to an empty space. And this was meant to be a handcrafted Italian tile backsplash. Now it's just potential. I don't mention Sarah by name, not directly. I don't need to. The narrative is clear. This is a house and a life mid-demolition. The faint, lingering smell of her expensive perfume, which I can still detect in the bedroom closet, is a ghost I'm actively exorcising. I show them the piles of debris, the tools I no longer have the heart to pick up, the stained concrete floors. Every wall tells a story, I say, panning across a plasterboard scrawled with measurements and hopeful notes from months ago. Mostly a story of what's not here. My honesty is brutal, unflinching. My resolve, once a flicker, now burns like a furnace. I can feel the heat of it, the strength it gives me. The scratch of my own worn work boots on the gritty plywood floor is the only sound effect I need. The viewer count climbs, hundreds, then thousands. Comments start scrolling. Some are sympathetic. Some are from gawkers. Some are from other people who've been through renovation hell or divorce hell. It doesn't matter. What matters is the exposure. What matters is that Sarah and her lawyer can't hide the truth of this house's condition any longer. The musty smell of the unopened boxes of new light fixtures, now destined to be returned or sold for pennies on the dollar, underscores the waste. I end the tour back in the living room, the only relatively intact space. So that's it. The Marcus Miller Everything Must Go special. Serious offers only, preferably cash, and fast. I give the email address Sophia provided. Then I end the stream. My heart is pounding. My shirt is damp with sweat. But I've done it. The faint scent of stale air and old memories in the living room feels a little less oppressive now. Within minutes, my phone explodes. Emails, texts. Sophia calls, her voice excited. "Marcus, it's working! We've had 3 more inquiries already citing your unconventional tour. And Eleanor Vance, she's been very quiet for the last hour." The best part? The original cash buyer, the one who wanted to close in 7 days, isn't scared off. In fact, Sophia tells me they've increased their offer slightly, for my transparency and proactive approach. The power dynamic, for the first time, feels like it's shifting, however slightly, in my favor. The sharp, clean scent of the lemon-scented cleaning wipes I used on my phone screen after the dusty tour feels like a small victory. Then, Sophia drops the mini bombshell. "About the buyer, Marcus. My client feels, given your public candor, it is time you knew who you are dealing with." She pauses. "The offer is from a holding company registered offshore, but the principal investor is Thomas Maxwell." Tom. Sarah's father. My breath catches. He'd offered to pay the contractor. But this? Buying the whole house? Why? Is it pity? A way to control the fallout? Or something else entirely? The faint, familiar scent of his pipe tobacco seems to drift into my mind, confusing and complex. The floor, which had felt so solid during the live stream, now feels a little shaky again. Before I can even begin to process this new twist, my phone buzzes with a text. It's Sarah. The first direct communication since the confrontation on the porch. "Marcus, I saw the live stream. We need to talk. This has gone too far. I know how to stop the sale. I'll do it, unless you meet me. Tonight, my lawyer found something. Something that changes everything for you." Her lawyer found something? What could it be? Another threat? Another lie? Or does she actually have one last desperate play for the house, for what's left of our life? The metallic taste of anxiety, which had receded, comes flooding back, sharp and bitter. The war isn't over. It's just entering a new, more treacherous phase. Word count for Section 6 is approx. 1180 words. Sarah's text hangs in the air. A digital threat. My lawyer found something. Something that changes everything for you. What could it be? Another fabricated claim? A forgotten prenup clause I don't remember signing? My mind races, but I can't afford to meet her. Not on her terms. Not now. The sale is tomorrow. 7 days have passed in a blur of anxious emails with Sophia, tense silence from Sarah's side after my live stream, and the relentless packing of one suitcase, my entire life winnowed down to essentials. The musty smell of old legal documents I've been reviewing for any hidden traps, any loophole she could exploit, still clings to my fingertips. Sale day dawns gray and oppressive. The sky outside the grimy windows is the color of bruised plums, heavy with unshed rain. It's a pathetic fallacy, a cliché, but it's true. A storm is brewing, both outside and in my chest. The thunder of my own heartbeat is a constant drum, so loud I swear the bare studs of the kitchen are vibrating with it. It mixes with the distant, actual rumbles from the approaching storm, a symphony of dread and anticipation. The air is thick, humid, charged. The faint, metallic scent of impending rain is unmistakable. I'm at a neutral lawyer's office an hour later, one Sophia's firm recommended for the closing. It's a soulless place, all beige walls and cheap corporate art. The scent of industrial-strength air freshener, trying too hard to mask desperation, assaults my nostrils. Tom is already there, looking somber. He gives me a curt nod. No sign of Sarah or her shark, Eleanor Vance. Maybe she's given up. A foolish hope, I know. The soft whir of the ancient photocopier in the corner, churning out copies of the sale agreement, seems to be counting down the minutes. The closing lawyer, a Mr. Henderson with a perpetually worried expression, walks us through the paperwork. My hands shake as I pick up the pen to sign. This is it. The final act. The severing. My signature is messy, a testament to the tremor I can't control. The scratch of the pen on the thick paper is unnaturally loud in the quiet room. Tom signs as well, his movements precise, betraying no emotion. The slightly sweet, cloying scent of Mr. Henderson's cheap cologne is making me feel queasy. Just as Henderson is saying, "Well, that seems to be everything." The door to the conference room bursts open, Sarah and Eleanor Vance, looking like a well-dressed predator. "Stop," Vance commands, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "This sale cannot proceed." My heart plummets. The thunder outside cracks, closer this time, as if punctuating her decree. The lights in the room flicker for a second. The air conditioning unit groans, then seems to struggle. Henderson looks startled. "On what grounds, Miss Vance?" "On the grounds of a fraudulent conveyance," Vance declares, slapping a folder onto the table. The musty smell of more legal documents fills the air again. Mr. Miller is attempting to dispose of a marital asset for significantly less than its appraised value, an appraisal conducted by his own bank, to avoid equitable distribution in the forthcoming divorce settlement. We have the appraiser's report right here. She taps the folder triumphantly. John Davies, the appraiser. Of course. The one Sarah must have sicked on me. The faint smell of rain on hot asphalt, as the storm finally breaks outside, drifts in through the poorly sealed window. My blood runs cold. Is this what Sarah meant? The appraisal was low, given the state of the house. But it wasn't fraudulent. It was realistic. Tom speaks before I can, his voice calm but firm. "Eleanor, the house is a disaster. Marcus's live stream made that abundantly clear to anyone with eyes. My offer reflects the significant investment required to make it habitable, let alone marketable at full appraisal value for a finished property. Your offer, Mr. Maxwell? Vance raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Are you admitting you are the purchaser? A clear conflict of interest, wouldn't you say? Colluding with your son-in-law to defraud your own daughter? The sharp scent of her expensive hairspray seems to cut through the room's stale air. But Tom is unfazed. I'm protecting my daughter from further scandal and a protracted, messy legal battle over a property that is currently a liability. This cash offer is the best possible outcome for both parties, ensuring a swift resolution and providing Sarah with immediate liquid assets from the sale, once equitably distributed, of course. He glances at me. Marcus has already agreed to a fair split of the net proceeds, considering the circumstances and outstanding marital debts she incurred. Vance looks momentarily thrown. This wasn't the reaction she expected. The drumming rain against the window panes is a steady, relentless beat. The thunder of my own heart begins to steady, a little. Tom is playing hardball. For me? Or for himself to contain this mess? I still don't know, but right now I'm grateful. The lawyers argue. Henderson looks increasingly harried. Vance is tenacious, but Tom's quiet logic, backed by the undeniable evidence of my live stream and the sheer state of the house, starts to wear her down. The fight drains out of Sarah. She sits silently, watching the proceedings with wide, empty eyes. She looks broken. And for the first time, a pang of something other than anger or indifference hits me. A faint echo of pity. She did this to herself, to us. But seeing her collapse in defeat, the fight gone, is a hollow victory. The slightly bitter smell of the cheap coffee on the credenza, untouched by any of us, seems to mirror the taste in my mouth. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Henderson clears his throat. Miss Vance, while I note your objections, the seller and the buyer are in agreement. The paperwork is signed. Unless you have a court order, a TRO, right now, in your hand, to physically prevent this closing. He trails off, looking at her expectantly. The rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers from the cars on the street below is a hypnotic sound. Vance's shoulders slump just slightly. She doesn't have one. It was a bluff, a desperate, last-minute gamble. She looks at Sarah, a flicker of apology in her eyes. Sarah just stares ahead, defeated. The faint, almost undetectable scent of her tears, or maybe it's just the dampness in the air from the storm, hangs between them. The closing concludes. The funds, Sophia assures me via a discreet text, are in escrow, to be wired to my newly opened international account, minus the agreed-upon portion for Sarah, as soon as the deed is registered, which should be by end of day. I walk out of that office into the raging storm, the rain plastering my hair to my scalp, the wind whipping at my clothes, but I feel lighter. Tom claps me on the shoulder. Good luck, Marcus. Is that a hint of a smile on his face? I can't tell. My next stop is the house, one last time, to pick up my single suitcase and the keys. As I pull up, another car is there. Derek's ridiculous red sports car. He's standing on the porch, looking impatient, sheltering from the downpour. The scent of wet earth and decaying leaves from the untended garden is strong. What do you want, Derek? I ask, my voice flat above the roar of the rain. Sarah sent me. Said you were leaving. She wants the keys. He looks uncomfortable, out of his element in the storm, at this derelict property. He's holding a ridiculously small umbrella that's doing little good. The sharp, clean scent of the rain itself seems to wash away some of the grime of the past few weeks. I almost laugh. Of course she sent him. Her errand boy. I pull the house keys from my pocket, and then an idea. A final power move. "Here you go," I say, tossing him the keys. He fumbles but catches them. "And this." I pull a piece of paper from my jacket pocket. It's a copy of the final itemized bill from Mike, the contractor, before Tom settled it, detailing all the work done, and all the work undone thanks to the sudden halt. Might want to give this to the new owner. It's a comprehensive list of everything that still needs fixing, since you're so involved. Derek looks confused. Then slowly, his eyes widen as he scans the bill. The sheer cost, the extent of the damage. He pales. "But..." "Good luck," I say, and walk past him into the house, leaving him standing in the rain with the keys and the bill. The metallic taste of something like victory, finally, is in my mouth. I grab my suitcase, my passport. My phone buzzes. A message. From an unknown number, but it's a local area code. It's not Sarah. It's not Tom. It's not Sophia. My hands shake as I open it. My blood runs cold. It's a single sentence. "Marcus Miller, your visa application for Portugal has encountered an unexpected complication. Urgent action required. Portugal. My escape hatch." Complication? What complication? My flight leaves in 3 hours. The thunder outside cracks again, directly overhead this time. A violent, explosive sound that mirrors the sudden chaos in my chest. My phone rings again. It's the airline. "Mr. Miller, this is a courtesy call. Due to the severe weather, Flight BA 247 to Lisbon is experiencing a slight delay, but boarding will commence as scheduled. We advise all passengers to proceed to the gate." The rain, the visa, the flight. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic, trapped bird. I have to go, now. I sprint out of the house, past a still-stunned Derek, and into the storm. The race to the airport, to my new life, has just begun. And the finish line feels impossibly far away. The airport is an oasis of frantic calm after the storm outside. I check in, my clothes still damp, my nerves frayed. The scent of jet fuel and floor wax, usually so exciting, now just adds to my anxiety. The visa issue. I'll have to deal with it when I land. If I land. If they let me on the plane, my boarding pass feels like a flimsy piece of hope in my sweaty palm. The thunder of my heartbeat is a deafening roar now, drowning out the airport announcements. Through security, a blur of beeps and commands. My phone buzzes again. A bank alert. "Funds transferred. Tom kept his word. The money is there. Enough. More than enough." A small, hysterical laugh escapes me. The slightly antiseptic smell of the hand sanitizer I've just used is sharp and bracing. I race to the gate. It's crowded. The flight is still listed as boarding. I can hear the rain lashing against the huge terminal windows. Then, the announcement, crackling over the PA system. "Final boarding call for British Airways Flight BA 247 to Lisbon. All remaining passengers, please proceed to Gate B12 immediately." This is it. My escape. My new life. I take a shaky breath, the air tasting of stale, recycled air and faint hope, and step towards the gate.